Was it simply a marketing ploy by Lucasfilm written by executives who had no idea what constituted good children's television? Or was it in fact a turn off brain enjoy cartoon? Let's find out today as we dive into Star Wars Ewoks.
We are the friendly spirits from the forest glow. We're friendly spirits from the forest glow.
Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to another Saturday. This here Super Saturday, the show where we discuss all things super and awesome. And today, we're diving back into 1985, digging up another one from the vaults. Sister show to Star Wars Droids, which I covered last week, Star Wars Ewoks was an animated series revolving around an absolute deluge of Ewok and Ewok-adjacent characters, Ewoks having been introduced with the Return of the Jedi film just a couple years prior. The Ewoks were also featured in Caravan of Courage and Ewok Adventure back in 1984, and its follow-up show Ewoks The Battle for Endor in 1985. Convinced the story of the diminutive bear folk was not played out, Lucasfilm went with yet another series, this time animated. Airing alongside a sibling cartoon Droids, Ewoks was originally part of the Ewoks and Droids Adventure Hour. The series debuted September 7, 1985 and concluded December 13, 1986, lasting roughly 6 months longer than the aforementioned droids. The series was developed by a legendary animated media figure of Paul Dini, whom you might recognize from a little show called Batman the Animated Series, and Bob Corral. It was co-produced by beloved Canadian-based Nelvana, just like Droids, but unlike Droids, the series was not animated in Korea, but instead in Taiwan. Running 2 seasons with a total of 26 episodes, the series centers on the Warwick family, or tribe, or whatever. Wicket W. Warwick, voiced first by Jim Henshaw and then later by Denny Delk, is the youngest of the Warwick family, tribe, whatever. Headstrong and eager, he desperately wants to be a great warrior, but the only thing he's really great at is getting into trouble.
Ah! Great warrior! Ah! Wars not make one great!
Wicket is aided by his siblings Willie, the big old clumsy sweetheart of a bear, Weechie, the eldest and strongest of the Warwicks, and Winda. Deej and Shodu are the parents to this brood, with the dead spirit of great-grandfather Urfum along for the ride, because the family that speaks to the dead together stays together. There's also the Kintaka family, the Tebow family, the Taras family, and the tribe shaman Master Logray too. If you're keeping track at home, there are about 20 characters to keep track of in the series at various points, and that's a lot. But with the bloated rosters of G.I. Joe, Transformers, and various other shows, we were just used to the character bloat back then. Anywho. Opposing the various Ewoks are mainly the Duloks, led by King Gornish and his wife Urga. They are aided by Gornish's shaman Umwak and the Togan witch Morag. Beyond these recurring antagonists, there were numerous race and monster of the week entries like the Flogs, a race of giants from another world, the Hanadak, a monster from the woods, and the Rach, an evil tree demon imprisoned in a hat. Yes, imprisoned in a hat. It was a different time. When first released, the series was intended as a follow-up to the live-action Caravan of Courage and Battle for Endor, but was later stated to be a prequel. However, it was decanonized in The Great Purge of 2014, so its exact position in continuity is no longer of vital importance, sadly enough. That being said, elements of the series have shown up in 2015's Ultimate Star Wars, as well as 2018's Forces of Destiny, so even if the series is technically decanonized, it appears enthusiasts at Disney are making the effort to sneak it back in, just like Thrawn and so on, so good on them. As a bit of trivia, the opening title is shown briefly during an episode of Stranger Things Season 4, FYI. Reception of the series and subsequent reviews are not enthusiastic. While the first season is remembered as somewhat sophisticated, things were simplified for season 2. Unlike its sibling series Droids, whose opening song was written by a member of the band The Police, the show was given a score by the duo of Taj and Inshira Mahal. Yes, the man's stage name was Taj Mahal. You gotta love it. The Mahal song was ditched in season 2 for one written and performed by Patrick Gleason, who worked with legendary performer Herbie Hancock. Another great name. With season 2, however, the show was shortened to a pair of 11-minute segments and rebranded as the all-new Ewoks, even though it was exactly the same Ewoks, but I digress. The series concluded with the well-regarded episode Battle for the Sunstar, an episode still held in good regard. As far as the good stuff goes, only one wave of figures were ever produced. The subsequent waves canceled due to poor sales for the first. Further, a number of vehicles, playsets, and accessories featured on the cardstock backs of these figures never found their way into the series either. Star Comics, an imprint of Marvel, ran a line of comic books for a couple years, totaling 14 issues before canceling. Not surprisingly, the comic, like the cartoon, was aimed at a younger audience. And that's really where the series ended up, aimed directly at a young audience. It worked for what it was, but it was also competing with much stronger media at the time, and not to mention the original trilogy, which I'm just saying, there may have been some young kid in rural West Virginia whose earliest memory is sitting in the bucket seat of a pickup watching A New Hope at the Jungle Drive-In. So it's not like young kids couldn't handle the more adult-oriented material, but I digress. Now, as far as watching the show yourself, you're in luck. Not only has it been streaming on Disney Plus since April 2nd, 2021, but it has been collected numerous times and in a variety of fashions. DVD copies are cheap as can be, but if you want to go really old school, there are a number of VHS copies floating around out there too. Tragically, the figures are redonkulously expensive. Don't even consider them unless you've got an enormous amount of cash just burning a hole in your pocket. Glancing at eBay, I saw prices starting at $150 and spiking over 1500. So, yeah, it's insane. But there you have it, folks. Star Wars Ewoks. Like its sibling program Droids, it may have been forgotten, possibly decanonized, but it remains a piece of our childhood and worthy of remembrance. So I do hope I've entertained y'all with my trip back to the 80s and yet another of these awesome bits of entertainment that filled our Saturday mornings. Now, I encourage y'all to get out there. Fill your own Saturday morning with something fun. Pop in a cartoon. Watch a good movie. Read a comic. Gather around the table. Roll some dice, make those memories. While you're at it, drink your little water and get a little exercise. And as always, have a good